Well, I'm a little early. Let's see here. Nobody's here yet. Hey, Ted. How's it going? You're the only one so far. I'm a little early, so not much going on here tonight. Just watching a little YouTube and yeah, did you get done combining? YouTube and yeah, did you get done combining yet? I seen you were still going on Instagram the other day. You got your combine put back together. Yeah, it's that's too bad. Hopefully you don't have too much left to go. How'd that sorghum do for you? Hey guys, I started a little early. Hey Brad, how's it going? I started a little early because I wanted to make sure everything was working, and I think it must be because I can see chat, I can see your guys' typing stuff and whatnot, so I must be doing something right. How long this is going to go, I don't know. We'll just have to see what happens. Oh yeah, same here, Brad. Just another day. It got pretty warm here today. It was up into the 40s. It turned into kind of a sloppy mess, doing chores and whatnot. Yeah, I think deer season's over. This first season's over this weekend. Hey, Denny. Shotgun season for deer, that is, Ted. I think there's another season of muzzleloader and another season of bow yet to go for deer hunters. It's an open chat, guys. You ask me any questions or whatever you want to do. Haven't seen many birds around here, Ted. I hope you guys got them up there. The pheasant's been pretty thin down here this year. I like to hunt, or I used to like to hunt, Denny. I just don't have the time anymore. So it's just one of them things. I did it when I was younger and kind of grew out of it. But I don't know how many of you guys are. I know Ted just subscribed to my channel. Brad's been there for a while. Denny's been here for a while, I believe. I gained like 3 subscribers today. Uh, um, so any big plans for 2019, Brad? Yeah, survive. I guess this year was pretty rough. I'm not gonna lie. The corn went 96 and the beans went 37, and the crop insurance is what paid the bills this year. If if you guys know what crop insurance does, it just gets you right to that place where you have to do it again next year, and that's about all it does for you. Um, yeah, I seen that, Ted. I appreciate it. I really do. So, just I guess the biggest plan is I'm going from a conventional till program to a no-till program. I mean, 180-degree flip. Dad wasn't too impressed about the whole idea, but I'm gonna make a swan dive into it, I guess. I planted 100 acres of cover crops this year. Gonna no-till all my beans for sure, and at least half of my corn. It's gonna be one of them things where we're just gonna dive in head first, I guess. I think you're right, Brad. I think it will. It's gonna help. Um, I think it's gonna help money wise. I know it's gonna help money wise, and I know it's gonna help time wise because I have to work in town. I work a full time job. Work as of right now. I still work second shift. Um, Trying to get into a first shift position to make things a little better. Um, it's a time thing. Is another reason why I'm doing it. Um, Saving passes, saving time and fuel. I just it's. I've been going to some NRCS meetings this these past month and a half or so, or 2 months. They've been having some soil health meetings and some other things going on with no-till and soil health and cover crops and whatnot. And I really think that's the way to go. We'll see if it works. I planted some no-till this year and couldn't see any yield difference per se for what yield I did have from the no-tilled ground to the tilled ground. So, maybe dragging this iron through the dirt ain't such a good idea. I don't know. That's my thoughts on the whole idea. Thanks, Denny. That's the way. That's part of farming. you know, we got good years and we got bad years, and this year was a bad year. It's just the way it goes. We can't. Everything we do is out of our control. It's we put it in the ground and we pull it out in the fall. When it's all done, and in between, it's up to God and Mother Nature. And then after that, then it's up to the government to tell us how much money we're going to make because of they influence the commodity markets. So it is what it is. Well, I'm surprised I got. Well, it bounces between 4 and 5. I got 4 and 5 people watching, so I don't know. I don't know how long it's gonna last, but I've only got 110 or 115 subscribers, so yeah, Iowa farmer. That's usually how it works for me. I'm here to tell you, the crop insurance is usually, I get 1 or 2 bushels above what my guarantee is, and you don't get nothing out of it. Jenny, I think you're right. I heard the other day that the day they agreed to that, they bought the biggest one-day purchase of soybeans ever made. I think, if I read the article right, and they said that um, it really influenced the market when they announced it. I don't know if that was part of the announcement and part of them buying the beans, but it really hasn't. It's helped a little bit. It brought us up above that $8 mark, I think, but I hit 8.25 the other day, and I put another contract in for 850, and I still haven't hit that yet. Don't know if I will either, because I think that agreement was till the end of the year, and well, we ain't got very much time till the end of the year. You throw Christmas in there and New Year's, and that's going to foul things up. So I don't know. I don't disagree with what he did. It needed to be done, I think. Um, it's going to take some time to correct it. That's the problem. But Ted, over my ground, if I would have taken the bushels over combined acres as compared to planted acres, um, my corn would have probably went the 150ish, and my beans. I know my beans went 40 on combined acres. My beans went 46. On planted acres, they went 37. And on combined acres, my corn went 97, I think, something around there. But I lost 35, 40 acres of ground out of 200 to drowned outs. We were just way too wet for way too long. So, that's kind of why I got cows too. They kind of make up for the help. It's diversification. The more things you got out there, the more likely you are you're going to make money on at least one of them. So, I mean, granted, I've only got 10 cows, but it helps. So, and that's kind of surprising, Brad. I figured your corn and beans would have done a little better. Um, but you were short that rain, weren't you? You didn't get as much rain as we did. Um, if you'd have put your ground down here where I was with your crops on them, we got enough rain to make you probably would have had 60 bushel beans and 200 bushel corn, because I know you got a lot of sand up there, and we got rain every week. Denny, I haven't taken anything to the local sale barn. I know they're having the cattle specials here till the end of February. They do all the preconditioned cattle sales from the 1st of December to the 1st of February, I think. And I don't usually sell my calves to the sale barn until the end of February, because that's by the time I'm in a deal where I like to wean around Thanksgiving, and then I want them weaned at least a month and a half before I work them, and get them over that stress. And then once you work them to go to the preconditioned sale in my state, in Iowa, they have to be 30 days from the time the vet comes before you can sell them, just for the simple fact of healing and of the castration and whatnot. So I haven't been paying attention. I've been watching more what the bred cows and bred heifers are bringing, because if I could, after the first of the year, sell some grain and replace it. I got a couple of old cows that I need to replace, and I got one that calved in September, and she'll never get back into time again with the rest of the cows. So I'm probably going to haul her to the sale barn. So in turn, to maintain my herd, I need to replace two. So I'm trying to kind of keep my eye on that, and watch kind of what stuff's bringing and who's hauling breads in and whatnot. Because if I can buy something from a guaranteed farmer, through the sale barn that I know, I'd really like to buy private if I could, but it just depends. Most of my herd's been bought private, so less chance of bringing something home, I guess, from the sale barn. Brad touched on big plans. I do have a 20 by 54 cattle shed I'd like to get put up this next year. I've had the lumber. I've had enough lumber to do it for 6 years, and I finally got enough steel put around to, to, to put it together. So um, I'd really like to get that up this summer if I possibly can. Have a little more room down there in the calf lot. Um, Probably gonna have pigs again next year. Yeah, me too, Brad. That's kind of how I feel about it. Yeah, I've seen a few of those threefers, Denny, I haven't uh, Ted for calving in, or not for calving in, but for feeding in. Um, where I'd put it, where I'd wean my calves and put, and then grow them, and you know, I usually finish a couple out to put in the freezer, and then the rest of them go to the sale barn. So, but I have seen some three for ones. They're pretty far between, but sometimes you can run into some deals there too. Where you buy the mom the calf, and she's been with the bull for 3 or 4 weeks, and probably is bred again. So it's they're not. It's not that common around here, I guess. So you don't run into that. So, but the cattle shed's a 20 by 54 open front, 12 foot tall. So um, probably store hay in half of it and use the other half for feeding calves out. Hey Ben, drinking a little too much beer? Hi Angie. But how's it going, Ben? Watched all your videos today. Good job. But yeah, it will be. Like I said, Brad, I've been putting this thing together for about 6 years. It's kind of funny. I bought the kit from the framing. I had enough money to buy the framing kit from Menards to put this building up, but I didn't have enough money to buy all the steel. So I bought the one year I bought all the material to build the frame, and then I bought um, the following year, the year after, I bought brand new roof steel because I didn't want to used roof steel. So I bought brand new roof steel, and then I've been putting together to get used steel to put around the sides. Thanks, thanks, Ben, Mr. Beezer, appreciate it. Um, I started watching you and Brad and Ted and 3 or 4 other guys trying to get some ideas and some no-till stuff. I really stumbled upon Brad's channel for the no-till thing, and the cover crops, and that's really how I stumbled upon Brad's channel, I believe. And then just kind of followed suit after I found him to find you and Ted and a couple of the other guys that I started following, and it's just kind of spurred from there. And it's something fun to do. I don't know. I kind of enjoy doing it. I enjoy seeing you guys do what you do, and it's kind of fun. Is there too much reflection off my head? Can you guys see me all right, or hear me all right? Guess I never asked that, but um, anyways, so it's I didn't expect too many people to better than CNN. Yeah, it is. But hey, 4M, thanks for subscribing today. By the way, appreciate it. I got 115 now, so I think that's pretty good for just starting. So. Yeah, Ted, I haven't seen anything like that on my stuff yet, but I'm kind of like a duck. It just kind of rolls off my back. It really doesn't bother me that much. Hey, James. How's it going? This is pretty much an open chat, guys. If you got questions or you whatever. It's the first time I've done a live stream, so. Yeah, I will, Brad. Like we discussed earlier, the winter time there just isn't. It's mundane. It's day to day. You do the same thing every day. You do the chores. You feed the cows. You do the chores. You feed the cows. Might move a little snow here and there. It's just it's kind of hard to find content to do stuff. And I don't have a heated shop, and so there's things I'd love to do outside, but when it's 30 degrees and the wind's blowing, I'm not gonna do them. You know, Today it was 40 degrees. I was outside doing chores, burning brush, doing all kinds of stuff. You, you know, so, but nothing too exciting to video, I didn't think. Uh, Fixed a trailer that I screwed up. Other than that, where do I want to be in 5 years, Ben? I want to have 20 cows. I've been doing cows for 5 years, and my 5 year goal was to get 10 head. And I did that. Now, my next 5 years, I want to get to 20. And I think with cover crops and some other practices, I can do that. I don't have a lot of pasture ground. So, hey, Egg Wild, how's it going? Glad you could make it. Um, as far as expanding the farm ground, that's not going to happen. I cannot afford what people are paying for rent, and I cannot afford to buy ground at this point in my life. It's not going to pay out. It's just not going to do it. So cows I can expand on. I don't need with what I've got. I can utilize what I have and still handle 20 head of cows. 4M. I am from Central Iowa. 60 miles south of the Minnesota border. Uh, North of Fort Dodge, Iowa. 2 hours north of Des Moines, Iowa. If that kind of gives you an idea. If you wanted to nail it down, it's Humboldt. Hey Josh, how's it going? Um, yeah, that's the thing, Ted. That might help. Going to that no-till situation, get my inputs down. It might help me a lot. So, but there's a lot of seed corn raised in this area for Monsanto and Pioneer and DeKalb, and those guys that raise seed corn pay high dollar cash rent, and it's ridiculous what they all pay to raise seed corn, and um, it's it's just not. And I think there's 5 or 6 farmers in a 100-mile radius that farm 10, 15,000 acres, and they're paying way over 3, close to 4 for some of their ground. And I don't know what kind of pencil they use, but mine don't work that way. Rotational Garys, rotational crop, yep, cover crops. That's the way to do it. I don't have any big time organic guys in my area that I know of. There's a couple that are there's a couple that are trying the organic thing, and how far they've gotten into it, I don't know. I think it's a 3-year deal. I think you have to have the ground fallow or in like a alfalfa or something for 3 or 4 years before you can be certified organic. I think it's a big headache to get through it, but then I've heard that those guys will pay $500 an acre for cash rent. So I don't know. I'm a 4th generation 240 acre farmer that works a full time job in town, and probably will until he retires. Ain't much I can do about it. I'm not sure if I'm subscribed to James or not, Denny, but I will check him out. But I really like the cattle. We raised sheep on this farm for years. When I was in high school, we ran 100 head of ewes. And Dad got out of it shortly after I graduated and left home. I guess I never left home. I moved out and got a job, and because I knew there wasn't enough income off of 240 acres to support 2 of us, let alone 3. So it was one of them things where it was time to kind of take my own path, I guess, and go out on my own and find a job and start paying my way, I guess. And he got rid of the sheep, and when I got married and we found a house that we wanted, or an acreage, and we just started buying cows. Ben, I'm not sure on the cattle beef market up in your area. My area, there's a lot of cattle feeders, I would say, that buy cattle from Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Missouri. They don't buy a lot of homegrown cattle. There's not a lot of cow-calf operations in my area. So most of what I do is, this year I sold, I only have 10 cows, so this year I retained 2 heifers for replacements I replaced 2 older cows, and I kept 2 beef steers back to butcher, and then I sold the other 6 calves. And when I took them to the sale barn, I had just missed the last green tag sale, so I didn't quite get the premium that they did at the green tag sale. But the auctioneer bought all the calves because he liked them. Josh, I want to have another 10 in the next 5 years. I want to get up to 20 cows. That's my goal. And with the 6 or 7 acres of pasture I got and the 5 acres of cover crop rotation that I'm going to try and do, I think it'll work. I think I'll have enough feed stuffs that I won't have to keep haying during the summertime as much, depending on our rains. Grazing season, Josh. It can start as early as the 1st of April. I've seen guys do that. I don't like to put my cows out on grass until I absolutely have to. I like to calve on grass. I calve in May. So I like that grass to almost be brushing their bellies when they go out into it. And I've grazed all the way up into September on grass. That puts the pasture down pretty short, but that's the way it works. Ted, I ran cows on corn stalks last fall. A lot of the border fences have been taken out on this place, unfortunately. And what ones haven't been torn out need to be torn out and redone because they're falling into the ditch, into the road ditch. So this year, the way the fence is laid, I could not get calves out on corn stalks this fall. And so I have to do some more fencing in order to get them out on stalks. And I trust electric fence to a point. I border a blacktop and a gravel road on 3 sides, a blacktop on one side and 2 gravels, and I work a second shift. I don't want cows out. I can't. I'm not here all the time, so I don't want to get that phone call at work that says, "Hey, your cows are out on the blacktop," and somebody just hit one. So until I get fences made better, every other year they'll be on corn stalks for sure. Until I get more fencing done, that's the way it's going to have to work. I'm afraid. Yeah, that's the way it is. And I think I missed a comment. Let's see if I can. There we go. Sorry, my hand's in the way. I'm trying to figure out. 4M Ranch, have you planted any cover crops for your cattle? Yes. This year I planted, Ted might know this name, Milborn Seeds. I planted some stuff from them this year. It was a 5-way mix, I believe. It was radishes, turnips, oats, rape, and there was one other thing in it. I can't remember what it was. But I planted 5 acres of that stuff. And Brad did a video on some of his cover crop that he planted something similar to that. I think it had soybeans and some other stuff in it. And we were talking back and forth about that. I pulled them off of that the end of October, I believe. And they were on that 5-acre patch for 57 days, I believe. And I did like 150-foot swaths. I moved the wire 150 foot every 3 days, I think it was, or 4 days. And they did really well on it. It was a real cheap source of feed. I think it cost me like $250 to seed that 5 acres. No fertilizer or nothing on it. And I put it on a pretty crappy piece of ground. I got some ground just west of my grove that's not real nice. It's got a lot of sand in it, and a lot of rocks, and it needed it 9 times out of 10 it won't raise a crop. But this stuff grew amazingly well in it. And my plan then after I grazed that first half of that 5 acres off, it was wet when they grazed it, so I couldn't get the no-till drill, so I had to disc it a little bit. But then I planted a 1.5 bushel of rye, I think it was. And I don't know if that ever germed or not. It was pretty cold when I did it. I'm hoping it did, but it'll grow in the spring. And then my plan is to calve on that in the spring. And then the other half of that 5 acres I am going to plant sorghum into. And sorghum will regrow. So I'm hoping to alternate between the rye, the sorghum, and my grass pasture, and just keep moving them back and forth through the paddocks, I guess you call it. I'll probably graze the rye completely off, take them to the grass, get paddocks set up in the sorghum, and move them back and forth between grass pasture and sorghum, until this, because that sorghum will regrow behind. If they graze off 100 feet of it, and then I take them to grass, then I take them back to sorghum. By the time they get back to that first pass, that stuff will have regrown. So hopefully I can get season-long grazing until it freezes. And help rotate things around. make better use of what I got, I guess. Hey, we got 12 people watching. That's pretty cool. Single hot wire fence all around all of our farm ground, and we take it out and put it up every year. Are you using wire, Ted, or are you using poly rope? What are you using? Are you using, and what kind of fence are you using? That's the other thing. I've been having a hell of a time with fencers. I can't get a good fencer around here. I bought. I've got a solar one that's working all right so far, but it's a 50-mile fencer, I think, and I don't even have a mile of fence on it. It'll get pretty hot, but the plug-in one I got, it's just I've gone through 3 or 4 of them. Pear marks, I think they are, but I don't know. Buy them at the farm stand. Can't find any of those old bulldozers anymore. Those international bulldozers. Everybody said those were good, but can't seem to find any of them anymore. All right, I'm going to introduce you to a couple of my ladies. My other one is upstairs, maybe asleep already, but.
Not me.
There's one of my little girls, Emily. She wanted to say hi. And then behind her is my wife, Barb. She wanted to say hi. My other girl, Amber, is upstairs. She didn't want to come down, I guess. So, you know. But.
She's probably watching YouTube off her day.
But they've been watching and help. My wife's been helping me quite a bit with some of this stuff. So I'll have to thank her for that too. So she wanted to stop in and say hi, so I figured I better let her do that.
No makeup. It look
Is anybody still here? Did I freeze up? I hope I didn't freeze up.
Is the number still ticking up at the top?
Yeah, it's still ticking. Okay.
I might be out right now.
Because the last thing I see is Ted's comment on a single wire for hot fence. Maybe I talk too much. I don't know. Oh, okay. Never mind. I screwed up. Hold on, guys. 3 stand, high tensile, 15 module. My comments weren't moving down, so just give me a minute here. Okay, Ag Wild, we don't have a lot of deer around here. In my area, there's some around the river that's close to me, but I very rarely see them around here. Denny, I work at a factory in Humboldt that builds palletizing equipment. Hey, Midwest Alice fan, good to see you. James, there are 2 smaller dairies in the area and 1 large dairy, like 500 or 600 head dairy. The other ones are 60, 70 head. There's 2 of them.
You're cutting your head off.
Well, I'm trying to. Sorry, honey. Okay, Ted, Gallagher fencers. I'll have to look into seeing where I can get those at. Maybe probably online for sure. Brad says hi. Denny says hi.
Hello.
Hi.
When our barbed wire fences don't hold, we use electric. I actually trust electric better than barbed wire. Okay, Ted, I'll have to look into that. Ben says hello.
Hi.
Hello, Ben.
I'm so sorry. I know.
Barb, Brad says hello. Says good job, Barb. She actually got me to turn my phone sideways, so you know that's a good thing.
After about 15 video. No, I'm just kidding. But
I've never been on Ragbri, Ag Wild. It's gone through Humboldt a couple times.
What is that?
Yeah, Mark, nice to see you.
I think we got too much light on.
I don't know why my messages weren't moving up, but they were. Farm and Fleet is probably an hour away, Brad, but I don't get there very often. Wife shops on Amazon a lot, Ted. Maybe I should have her look into that. I have 4 strands of barb and 2 strands of hot. Hot barb? Denny, are your barb wires hot, or are you running smooth hot wires? Hey, Eric. Sorry about that screw up, guys. I thought they would move up, but they're not moving up on me. I got to move them manually. I don't know what's going on there. Didn't mean to move through that quick, but it wasn't moving. So I don't know what's going on? So and they're still not doing that. Okay, Denny. Non-hot on the barb, and smooth is hot. Okay. Yeah, I see we got 17. Dan, good evening. What breed of cattle do I have? There's of the 10 head, there's 3 reds. 1 belted Galloway. One belted Galloway, the rest are blacks, Black Angus, or and the 2 heifers I retained are F1 Baldies. So maybe if I push that blue arrow, there, maybe it'll work.
Yeah, if you push the blue.
And then I bull breed with a Hereford. What kind of drill do I have? It's just an old John Deere, kind of a Van Buren type drill. The one in the video where I was seeding the cover crops was a neighbor's, and I don't always have the opportunity to use that. I would like to own a no-till drill, but for what I have, if I can make do with what I got, I guess for the time being, because the drill I want to get is the no-till drills around here, like, expensive. Like, a good one's $10,000, and I don't have $10,000 to spend. Would really like to have a Great Plains or a tie type drill with a coulter cart, and would have to have small grass seed so I could reseed alfalfa. So that's kind of the thing. That's kind of the thing that I would like to have, I guess. My planter, I planted 15-inch row beans this year, and I was really impressed with how they did with the weed control. I'm going back to 30-inch rows next year for the simple fact that I'm going to get it. I purchased a different planter. I'm purchasing a different planter that's got some coulters and some other stuff on it that my other planter didn't have. And with the cover crops, I'm going to let the ride get to about knee high, and then I'm going to kill it, and then plant my beans right into that. Is the plan for this year. I'm not quite confident enough to let that stuff get 4 or 5 foot tall, and then try and plant it. I'm a first-time cover cropper, so I'm taking baby steps, I guess. Ted, I do sell freezer beef. I haven't, mostly to family members and people that I know at work. I've never really advertised it. It's pretty much. Daisy, you are not a vegetarian. Because you just said hi, Daddy. Why would you do that? Come down here and say hi if you're on watching this.
Are you talking about Amber?
Yeah. Will you graze the rye for M Ranch? I am going to bale some of that rye, and I will feed it that way. I planted 100 acres of rye, so I'm not gonna need all that. Then it comes down to a fencing issue also to get them out on that 100 acres. Them 100 acres that she that they're gonna graze or that I'm gonna no till. So I planned on I actually baled stalks off of a piece that I think I can mow and bale next spring when it comes up, and then I have 5 acres of rye down at the neighbors that I'm going to combine and probably put an emergency hay crop in, like some millet or something like that. I can cut and bale because I can sell the cover crop the rye and stuff for cover crops. So as far as grazing rye, that little patch we'll get some grazing done, but most everything else is going to be terminated. And ag wild, yes, I have seen they have one in the area that they've actually done it with. One of those roller crimpers. It's made by Rightway, I believe. It's a pull type one. It's not one you put in front of your planter or in front of your tractor or anything like that. So you have to physically make another pass. But there is a company in town that rents rollers that has one of those crimper rollers here. Josh, the sorghum did okay. Unfortunately, the ground froze up, and then it snowed. So, I've not been able to get posts put up to get them out onto that yet. It has gone down. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm kind of in a pickle there. I was kind of envious of Ted making hay in November, and my cane hay is full of snow. So I think they'll still eat it. I think I can turn them out in the spring there, and if I have to wait a little bit to plant that piece of corn, it's not going to be a big deal. So yeah, Ted, I've seen good responses from it. Um, I don't know. I don't know what I've heard. I've heard mixed responses from it. I heard it kind of freaks some people out when you're planting into that stuff. So I don't know. Kind of the information I've been getting from the NRCS meetings is, if you're not comfortable doing it, don't do it. They said let it get knee high, terminate it. You'll still have a good thatch for weed control. You're going to terminate it with. I'm going to terminate it with Roundup and 2,4-D and throw my burn down in with it, or throw my pre down with it. So, Brad, it's going to be dry hay. I do not have access to a wrapper. That does not happen in this country. Nobody wraps anything in this country. It goes up a silo, in a pile, or in a tube. I mean, we don't do baleage. It's just not. It's not a thing around here. I don't even know of anybody in 100 miles that might have a wrapper. And my baler probably wouldn't like it. So, did the test come back all right on that sorghum, Ted? but I could chop it. Yeah, the guy that does my corn chopping has chopped rye before standing. He says it gets awful squishy. It's awful wet. I don't know if it'd make good. They blew it up a silo and they said it was kind of mixed results. They said they'd probably never do that again. So I don't know. It's easier for me to make stuff dry. The Bailage thing's got me really kind of interested, and that's kind of why I'm watching Ben's videos to see how things work. Because I've never been around it. I don't know how it works. Ted, was it better than corn stalks or worse than corn stalks? I don't know. I know I set a bale of corn stalks out and the cows go nuts over them, and sometimes they don't. I plant all conventional corn. Really, Brad? I didn't know that. But then I'd have to find somebody that could bale it wet. I don't know if I could find anybody that's got a wet baler around here, a silage special baler. Unless you want to drive down and do it for me. You probably charge me mileage too. I don't remember what I was talking about.
Need something to drink?
Yeah. I'll take another beer, please. And I don't know, maybe baleage in this area would be pretty, pretty easy to make. Because it seems like I can make crappy hay easier than I can make good dry hay. Why not bale it 2 days after you cut it instead of trying to wait 4 to get it to dry? Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't know. I know my silage is really good this year. I was really pleased when we got that cut. How I thought it was going to be too dry, but it packed beautifully and it's coming out of the silo or out of the pile beautifully. Okay, Ted, I'll look forward to watching that video when you get it to come out. But anyways, back to what I was talking about. I just recently switched from triple stack corns to conventional corns here in the last 2 years. In the last year, I had 2 years ago, I had half conventional and half traded corns, and I baled the stalks off of both varieties. And the varieties were the same variety. One was a GMO and one was a non-GMO. So it was the same parent. It was just one was stacked and one wasn't. And I put 2 corn stalk bales out and I kept them separate. I put 2 corn stalk bales out, one conventional and one traded. They went and ate 90% of the conventional one, and they only probably ate about 20% of the traded one. So I've been planting conventional corn ever since. And other than this year, I've been getting comparable yields with no insecticides, no, I can't afford to spend $300 a bag and still only get 180 bushel corn. Correct, Dan. Not even Roundup ready. If I sprayed Roundup on the corn, it'd kill it. So I've had some Roundup corn, but it wasn't traded, so it didn't have the corn borer, the rootworm, all that stuff in it. So and I don't think Ben's baler is a silage special, is it? me go back to my comments here. Yeah, Dan, this year was not a good year to make dry hay. I thanked the good Lord that I didn't have a whole lot of small squares sold, because, yeah, well, Brad, I'm pretty sure that Ben's baler is a non-silage baler, right? Where are you from, Dan? Dan Thies? Thies? What kind of baler, Mark? Okay, that's what I thought, Brad. Yours is, though. Yours is a silage special? James, orchard grass is in our pastures. I have orchard, Timothy, red clover. Pretty much, I got about everything in that pasture. So I got some warm season and some cool season grasses, and a little bit of legumes. Ted, I have a 605F Vermeer, so like a 1970s baler. Gave $1,000 for it. I've made 300 rounds with it. I hired my corn stalks done because it does not like to bale corn stalks at all. I don't think it would, Ted. I think it until I get enough money and to really get up into probably an early 2000s baler, silage baling is just going to be watch everybody else do it type thing. Well, keep me in mind, Brad. I'll just bring the trailer and the truck up, and we'll just load up what you don't need anymore, and I'll give you a scrap price for it, and I'll bring it home, and I'll use it for 10 more years. That's pretty much what I farm with, anyways. Most of the stuff I got bought off Craigslist or drug out of a fence row somewhere, and I fixed it and used it. Yeah, I think you're right, Ted. It's just sometimes here in Iowa, the humidity is our problem. It's just, and then working a full time job. Trying to plan to make hay is hard when you don't have a job. You throw a job in on top of that, where I'm trying to do it on the weekends. And make it work on. Okay, I'm going to cut hay Wednesday or Thursday. I'm going to ted it Thursday or Friday. I'm going to probably rake it Saturday morning and try and bale it. Well, then you'll look at the 4-day forecast and go, okay, I got 4 good days. And then Mother Nature says, nope, Friday it's going to rain. Because the weatherman was wrong. So, yeah, I'm sure it does, Dan. I bet that does take a lot of risk out of it. Trust me, Ag Wild, I've thought about it. I have not done bale grazing, James. I've haven't seen anything about how that works or anything like that. Hey, do you want to go turn that down? I don't know if they can hear it or not, but it's kind of annoying. Thank you. Sorry about all that dinging, guys. I should have turned my notifications off. A lot of guys bale graze here. So what's bale grazing? You set the bales out in the field, and I'm fine, honey. Don't.
Oh, it makes you so pale looking.
Is there a reflection off my forehead, guys? My wife's standing in front of the light saying I look pale or something.
Your hairlines are receding though.
You know, yeah, let's see. Okay. They say I'm fine, dear, so you don't have to stand in front of the light. So back to my question. I guess I'm asking you guys a question. What is bale grazing? Thanks, Ted. Maybe next time I'll get some turtle wax and polish it. So you got to use it. So is bale grazing? You leave the bales out in the field and you just let the cows wander through and eat the bales? Or was that kind of like what you were doing this afternoon, Agwild, when you sent me that picture? Mark, you have a 640, a 664. New Holland baler. Okay. Ah, okay, James. So it'd be kind of like doing my paddocks, only you do it with hay bales. Well, 13 people. We've gone an hour and 5 minutes almost. I think that's pretty good. Hope I'm not boring you guys to death. But I just thought it'd be fun to try this. Have a few beers and see what everybody was up to. Well, I think this whole YouTube thing is, yes, this is my first live stream for M Ranch. Um, so I kind of watched. I got in and out of Brad's live stream here. It must have been a couple weeks ago, but I was at work when he did it on Friday. So I kind of watched over my lunch hour a little bit when he started, and then a little bit at break, and then the next day I came back and I watched the whole thing through again, and that was pretty interesting. I that kind of why it kind of sparked my interest to do one, I guess. So, and like I said, there was no topic for tonight. I just wanted to see how many guys would come out and chit chat with me and want to look at my ugly mug for an hour. Yeah, yours was almost 3 hours, Brad. So, but it's interesting to see how other people, to talk to other people, to learn how they do it in different areas. and to watch your guys' videos. I mean, I'm 40 years old. I'm pretty sure Brad's around that same age. I don't know about anybody else, but you know, I'm kind of stuck with my old man's. You know, you got to turn everything black and you got to plow it. And you got to do this and you got to do that, or you ain't gonna grow a crop. You know, it's just that's the way it is. That's the way we've done it for 30 years. That's the way we're gonna keep doing it. You know, and yeah, we're right there together, Brad. You know, are we still okay? Are we back, guys? Can you see me? Something happened.
Yep, I see you.
Hello. Are we back?
Yes. Where we come at?
I don't know what happened there. Let me see here. Did I miss anything? Bale hay at 35%, no problems with any baler, and not as heavy for handling. So what kind of hay, Mark? Alfalfa grass mix, grass. What are we doing? No, I don't have a crimper. I cut with a disc mower, and I ted it. Not Ted Kaler. I ted it. I use a tedder.
We'll video some of that this summer.
And I kind of got started late doing this, you know, into the season. So my haying was pretty well. You caught the third cutting, and I didn't have anything really handy to hold my phone and whatnot. So I didn't get to do a lot of that. I'm still trying to learn how to do that. I am not running cover crops through. I'm not running, Josh. I'm not running cover crops dry, baled. I am grazing cover crops, and then I'm feeding silage in the winter because I don't have anything to graze them on in the wintertime. I put them in the dry lot. So what I'm tub grinding is alfalfa and grass, and then I am mixing that in my mixer wagon and feeding it out. They utilize the hay better, less spoil or less waste, and less manure I got to haul out in the spring. So they'll utilize the hay way better ground than they will through the bale rings. And I'm lucky enough to have a neighbor that has that. Okay, Denny, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it, man. Have a good night and have a Merry Christmas.
You got a neighbor?
I got a neighbor that has a that bale processor, so he'll come and bale and grind 3 or 4 bales.
Well, you have a video on there already.
And there's a video up of that. But if I was to hire a custom guy to come in, he wants to grind 20, 30 bales. Well, I can't feed that fast enough. Thanks, Chris. You too. Take care. So, for what he charges me to do 5 or 6 bales through a processor, it's not ground as finely as through a tub grinder, but the cows still eat it. I fed at noon today. I went out there at 5 o'clock to haul some trash out to the burn pile, and the bunk was almost cleaned up. So that's 5 hours they had those 10 head had that bunk pretty well slicked. And I do put a round bale of some cruddier hay out in the feeder just so they have something there all day long. They probably don't need it, but it keeps them from pushing fences and doing stupid stuff. They aren't overly fat, I don't think. So, but I'm learning every day. I watch YouTube videos and figure stuff out as I go. Nobody showed me how to. I knew how to raise sheep. Nobody showed me how to raise cows. I'm just learning that as I go. I'm trying to do it as cheap and effectively as I can. Because I like cows way better than I like sheep. Somebody told me I had to raise sheep again, I'd probably quit farming. Yeah, that's funny, Brad. I do some sketchy stuff for some tacos. Don't care for the Klondike bar, but
Yeah, I read that a while ago.
must be getting boring. Brad's going back to Facebook to check on me. Oh shoot. Oh, it's been fun, doing this. I didn't know what I was getting into. I just started doing it. I can't, Brad. I'm doing this on my phone because we couldn't figure out how to make the iPad work. We couldn't figure out how to make the computer work. So I'm doing the same thing you did on yours. I got my phone propped up in front of me on a TV dinner table with some stuff behind it, and some stuff underneath of it. So I can't even get up and move. I can't recline my chair either. Otherwise, the phone would be like 14 feet away from me. So, but I don't know. I enjoy doing it. It's kind of fun. Gives me another purpose. And I'm learning things from you guys. I mean, I've watched quite a few of Ted's videos. I've watched all of Ag Wild's videos, and I'm pretty sure I've watched about 90% of your videos, Brad. And I'm starting to catch up on Ben's videos and stuff like that. Trying to go back and watch, and I really like the way everybody does something a little different. We all have our own ways, and we do what we do because it works. I mean, and I'm trying stuff that I never thought would work on this place, and it has. So we'll see what happens next year. I'll probably do a lot more videos next year, especially with this cover crop thing, because, and I don't know, and I don't know if Ben's still with us or if he's gone, or if he's had too many bush lights and went to sleep or what. But I really think he should try out some cover crops. I think he'd be pleasantly surprised on what would work up there for him. I was going to ask. I made a comment on his video tonight where he was spreading manure. He was going to plant oats, and I made a comment. And I says, I don't know when you take your oats off for your growing season, but if you could come back with that forage sorghum or sorghum Sudan grass, I still think you could get one cutting. Thanks for stopping in, Ted. I appreciate it. I'll have a good one. But I don't know if that would work in his area or not. I don't know what his growing season's like. But I would think as fast as that stuff grows, once it comes up, I would think he'd be able to get at least 1 4-foot cutting off of that for baleage and get double crops. So I haven't gone that far back on Ted's videos, Brad. I'll have to do that. I haven't done oats in my pasture, James. I frost seeded some red clover last spring into my 2 pastures to feed the grass because it's a legume. It'll make nitrogen. So I would think that I don't know where you're at, James, but if you go out in like March when there's still a little bit of snow on the ground, or you're still expected to get a little bit of snow, and get a 50-pound bag of. I used 50 pound. I probably put it out plenty thick, but I just used a yard spreader and 50 pound, 150-pound bag of red clover seed, and I went out and I seeded that over the top of the snow and the frozen ground. And then in the spring, when it thawed and the rain came, it took that stuff down into the ground, and man, I was quite surprised at what it did. Maybe try it before a rain, James. I don't know. Does your ground ever freeze, James, or not? Does it ever get that cold in Ireland? I don't know. You know, if you have like a springtime where the ground's just coming off of frost, and you get that rain to take the frost out of the ground, that'll take that seed down into the ground. I didn't get much snow over the top of this stuff, but we got a lot of spring rains, and it came. I just spread it on top of the ground. What time is it in Ireland, James? And is it Saturday or is it Sunday? Or is it Friday? I don't know. Old River Farm. We had snow on the ground. Um, it got up to 40 degrees today, and it's pretty much there. It's still white in spots, but it's melting. But we had 3 or 4 inches, and then we've been getting fog every morning for the last week, and that fog kind of funny stuff. It'll kind of eat the snow away too. It's kind of weird, but we don't have a lot of snow left. I mean, where it's piled up. It's 3 a.m. on Sunday morning. Wow, you're up early, James. I think Dan. I think I'm gonna take rye for Bailey's and then plant sorghum sedan, get a cutting or two, then seed alfalfa orchard grass. Yeah, I've never seeded alfalfa in the fall. I've heard of guys doing that because I tore up 5 acres worth of hay ground. Excuse me, this fall. So, um, we put it in like most guys put it in March or April. First thing they can do when they get in the field. And I always plant over a nurse crop, and then I put 20 pounds of alfalfa and 3 or 4 pounds of grass hay in my seeding. Really, Brett, I might have to try that. That might work where I'm going to take my corn silage off next year. No till it after rye. Okay. I'm planting some oats this week for grain, then double cropping with either BMR, Pearl Minute, or sorghum. Old Rivers Farms, where are you from? That sounds like a good plan, but James, now I've never done baleage with oats, but normally I cut my oats and alfalfa new seeding at boot stage or just at dough stage. And usually I can't get it dry enough. So usually when I bale up, they get a little warm. They don't turn to silage by any means. They're strawy, but they'll heat a little bit and caramelize. But yeah, I don't park them anywhere near any of my buildings. They sit out in the field if at all possible, because if you bring them up to the house, that's where the rats come. Middle Georgia, and that would explain why you're doing what you're doing. different climate. But that sounds like a good plan, Old River. That sorghum I had, I planted it the 1st of July in a wet hole that drowned out. And it was underwater 5 more times before it frosted, or 6 more times before it frosted on. And this stuff was probably 4 foot tall. So, you know, if I'd have got it in a more timelier manner and it wouldn't have been underwater so many times, I think it would have been really good stuff to chop. But I was worried, well, by the time the chopper guy was going to get there, it wasn't going to work. Because it wasn't going to work in his schedule, and I wanted to be combining beans, and then it'd rain, and it didn't work. That, I think it would survive either way, James. I know it likes hot and dry, but yeah, I'm sure Old River down in Georgia, you could probably make dry hay pretty easily. That sorghum is kind of a different character if you're going to dry hay that, from what I've understood. Crimp and Ted. I don't know. Because it's almost like mowing down a green corn stalk. It's just full of juice. If you watch Ben's video where he was wrapping that first stuff that he baled, the juices were just running out of the tube. Or the line of bales he made. I don't know. I'm new to this forage sorghum or this sorghum Sudan stuff. I'm still learning. I'm calling dry hay when you cut alfalfa. You let it lay for 3 to 4 days, and it's down to like 12-13% moisture when you bale it. That's what I'm calling dry hay for him, anyways. I don't know, guys. How many have we had watching? I guess I wasn't paying attention. We're at 12 right now. Did we get up above 12? Or 15?
17 or 16 earlier.
Yeah, Old Rivers, that's what I consider dry hay. 12 to 16%. Baled some 18% stuff and it's kept. Don't know how, but seems like you can round bale stuff a little wetter and it'll keep a little better, but if you try to put anything much more than 15 or 16% in a small square bale, it'll turn to crap in a hurry. I used to put up a crap ton of small square bales. Still got the baler, but that round baler I bought's made me pretty darn lazy. You could probably get by with 17-18% hay if you put additive on it. I know a lot of guys. When I started doing small squares, everybody told me I had to put additive on my baler and bale it at 17 or 18%. Put that acid stuff on it so it'll stay green better. I never did. Number one, it eats balers, and number two, it's one more thing I got to deal with. bale it when it's right and don't worry about it. In small squares, anyways. Well, 4M, no, it's more of an experience thing, I guess, than anything else. A lot of times, I don't have a moisture tester on my baler. I've been baling small squares since I was 12 years old. You know by experience, I guess, as to what moisture content is. I do the 3-twist test, I guess. Go out and grab a handful out of the windrow, twist it 3 times, and if you can twist it in half in 3 times, go bale. If you can't, go back to the house. I mean, the other thing I've checked is you grab hay out of the windrow and take your thumbnail, and if you can scratch the wax off the alfalfa off the stem, and it's still juicy or green feeling underneath, if it don't scratch off right, I guess. But I've always gone by I guess it's experience more than anything. It's just, you know when it's fit and when it ain't. I can tell by I can tell by the sound of the baler sometimes too, or what the what the baler's doing. If you listen to the baler, it'll tell you whether it's fit or not too. Because if it's pounding hard, it ain't fit. And if it's running smooth, it's probably fit. If there's dust flying out of the chamber, it's fit. I don't know. I've had a few hiccups along the way. I've baled some stuff that I thought was good and it wasn't, and I've had some hiccups. It happens to you. You just hope it doesn't burn a barn down. Well, thanks for stopping by, Old River. I sure appreciate it. I don't think I've checked your channel out yet, but I will do so tonight or tomorrow. I don't know, guys. It's going on an hour and a half. That's pretty good, I think, for my first one. What do you guys think? Got 5 likes and 12 people watching. I think that's pretty darn good for my first one. I don't use a tedder rake for M Ranch. I use a tedder. And then I have a Vermeer V-rake that I rake my hay with. Yeah, I think it went well, Brad. I think it was well worth my time to do it. I picked up a few subscribers today, so I thank you for spreading the word. By the way, sir, I appreciate that. I put a little snap up there too on Instagram, see if I could get anybody, so. Yeah, you too. Thank you for stopping by, James. I appreciate you staying up or getting up or whatever was said. So I sure do appreciate you getting up in the middle of your sleep to watch this. You have a good Christmas, and we'll do it again sometime. I just have a 2-star tedder for him. It's a Rhino, and then I got Josh, probably not. That feed wagon I'm using right now actually does a pretty darn good job of mixing. I put everything in there. The only thing that is lacking is a scale. If it had a scale on it, I don't think I'd ever get rid of it. Because I dump in 2 skid loader buckets of hay, then I dump in my skid loader bucket of silage, and the way that thing works is it drags it across the bottom, and then that drag chain on the front tumbles it as it pulls it up. and it unloads slow enough that I have to go up and down the bunk about 3 times to unload it. So I'm mixing the feed essentially twice. And then instead of having a conveyor coming across, it has an auger. So that mixes it as it comes out. So I don't foresee myself doing that. Dan, I put it in a pile. If you go back and if you watch watched one of my videos this summer where you'll see where I made a pile, and that was 5 acres worth of silage. Um, it's not worth my expense or time to buy a bag and and then rent the bagger because I hire my silage chopping done because I don't have the equipment. So the that's why I do what I do, I guess, because the pile's the cheapest route for me to go. Put up a couple rows of bales, put the silage in it, and then I tarped it this year, which I will do again. Yeah, thanks, Dan. Appreciate that. But it's one of them things where it's the cheapest route for me to go because it cost me another 400 or 500 bucks to put it in the bag. Well, I covered it this year, and the spoilage went from non-covered was like that much on the pile last year, and it's like that much on the pile this year. And I didn't have to buy the plastic this year because I got it from a buddy from a grain bunker tart where we pile grain outside in the wintertime too when the elevators get full. Well, when they emptied it, I went and got a big chunk of it because then they just throw it away. They don't reuse it. So if I can get another chunk next year, then I won't have to buy any plastic. So, not that I'm opposed to buying plastic, but if I don't have to, why do it? So, I tried to make a penny spend like $1. But with my small operation, I about have to. That's why I buy conventional corn. That's why I do the things I do. If I can get by with getting 180 bushel corn with spending $150 a bag of corn instead of 300, that's where I get my savings. You put all your sorghum on top of your pile, Brett. How did that work out? Do you have 2 layers of spoilage then, or did you get everything put on at the same time so you didn't have that layer of corn silage spoilage and the layer of sorghum spoilage? Because I was thinking about doing the same thing when I chopped my corn silage to have them put that stuff on top. Oh, you did it all the same day, so you didn't see any difference. That sorghum was pretty wet when you chopped it, wasn't it, Brett? Was that pretty squishy compared to the corn silage? Pretty juicy. Yeah, I kind of wondered. Have you fed it yet? Fed any of it yet? Hey Dan, do you have a channel then, Dan? Is that your channel? Dan Thice? I'm probably butchering that, but did you have some you must have had some major flooding the way Brad's talking. I guess I didn't know anything about that. Why does it keep doing that? There we go. Floyd Farms, yeah, we're still going. It's an hour and a half long, so we're still getting after it, I guess. Pretty good for my first one, so 23 inches in 10 days. Holy cow, 13 inches in one night. Wow. That's a lot of rain, Dan. That's a lot of rain. I don't think we ever had 13 inches at one time. Why does it keep doing that?
What's it doing? It went black again?
No, the messages aren't moving up.
I don't know. I don't understand that stuff. Probably getting about time now.
Well, thanks for stopping in, Floyd Farms. I sure appreciate you coming by. It was historic flooding here. 60-acre lake dam broke right now. Oh, my lord. You lost a dam. That's not good. I bet you that did mess some stuff up. Okay, this is... Another silver silo gone.
Hilarious.
Only had about 8 loads of that stuff, huh? I bet you that did make a good seal. I've heard of the old timers telling on a silage pile that they would seed oats. Let's do this over here.
You need a pop socket. So you can do this.
Yeah. I heard the old timers say that they used to seed oats over the top of their silage piles. And when they got done, and then they'd water it with a garden hose or something to get them started, and then that would do the seal on the pile. Yeah. So. Yeah, I suppose the calcium would work too, Dan. I've never heard of that though, but probably one less thing to put in the feed or whatever. Well, guys, what do you think? I'm getting kind of tired. I think an hour and a half is or an hour and 45, almost an hour and 45 minutes. I think that's pretty good for a live stream. For my first one, especially. I'm happy with how it turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I can't do this during the week until my job thing changes, so it's gonna have to, if I do it again, it'll be on the weekend, and probably the same kind of deal, 7, 8 o'clock at night. Well, you have fun with that, Brad. Feeding the wife's horse. Merry Christmas, and I'm sure we'll talk later. But thanks for spreading the word, and thanks for helping me out a little bit here and there. I sure do appreciate it, buddy. You have a good night, and we'll talk to you later. Guys, I think I'm going to call it a night. I sure appreciate y'all coming out and listening to me ramble on and talk to me and asking me questions and whatnot. If you want to do this again, I'm all for it. We'll have to maybe see and do it again sometime. So, y'all have a good night. Have a Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And be safe. And we will talk to you later. Night, guys.